All right, today let's understand the concept of compute engine. So, what is compute engine? So, compute engine provides the compute power, that is, how powerful our underlying hardware, what will be software built like the operating system, whether it will be Linux or Windows, and in which region we want to configure. It can be US, it can be India. Those kind of things we generally configure under the compute engine. So let's begin with the hands-on by creating one VM. So we are at the Google Cloud. The compute engine, we can find it here. Let's click compute engine. All right, our next step will be to create an instance. Let's click on create instance. So next we need to mention the name. Let's type it Cloud Guru Amit. This is the region where we want to deploy our virtual machine as per our convenience. Let's select US Central 1. We can also additionally mention the zone names. So we can, as per our convenience, we can also deploy it. This is also under our control. So next, there are different types of like the hardware built. So here is the vCPU, here is the memory. This is general purpose. There are also descriptions of it, when we need it, what type it's does. Compute engines are generally like for high performance. GPUs, these are for gaming applications or AI ML workloads. These are very powerful, and these are very costly as well, because if you look here, the cost, it's something $204. All right. So the general rule goes like this: the more powerful our hardware built will be, the more cost, right? So here we have Z3. It costs around $9491, around $10,000, right? Hourly it costs around $13. So we can select this, and we need to be very careful about this, because if you are using any kind of like payment options, it's better to choose for your convenience the lowest one, that is N1. It is like one of the cost effective, that is 0.03 hourly, right, which is cost effective solution. Let's get down. Then there's a preset as well for it. So there are like different variants for it as well, like for standard N1, if you need the more core, more memory, then this is. Just remember again, if we choose the more higher variant, the cost will differ or cost will increase. So we need to be careful. Next is the VM ability, like the model. Spot instances are like it will be saving cost, but for standard, this is the like on demand kind of thing. Like when we want spot instances, when we tolerance or like any kind of fault, like we when the workload we don't, it's mentioned here idle for fault tolerant workloads, right? So that's what the definition goes for these two. Next, there are also some advanced options on hosted automatic restart, these kind of things. We can also do it. This we can, if we go down, then container, these things are there. For identity and API access, let's select no service account for this. Next goes the firewall. Like for this tutorial, what we want, like allow access to the internet. We don't, since we are doing SSH, we don't need HTTP or HTTPS traffic. If we want for any kind of specific purpose, we can mention this as like check mark these things. Next, we got some advanced option as well. If you select advanced options, so here we have the networking part as well, IP forwarding, those kind of things. There are some advanced topics which will be covering in the networking section, not in this, because if I cover, since this is a very basic, if I cover these, it will confuse you more. Next, the important part is like is the disk option. We can additionally add more disk, like by clicking on add disk. Apart from the root volume, we can mention different like there are different sizes as well. Here we can attach SSD as well. So there are tons of parameters as well. Security, definitely there are also parameters to turn on monitoring, those kind of things. Under management, there is important thing, that is the bootstrapping. We can specify if, let's say, we are spinning one Ubuntu instance. We can also type the scripts which we want to load. It will be automatically fired up when the instance will spin or boot up. Then comes the data encryption part. That is whether this is default option Google managed keys, where less headache is there, but if you want to manage your own keys, then cloud KMS is suggested. And also there is one more important thing, that is boot disk. Here if we click change, here we'll get the operating system built. Like we can choose our own operating system. There are tons of it, like CentOS, all the famous Red Hat, Linux is there, Ubuntu is there, Windows Server is there. Please note, whenever we are spinning Windows Server, let me show you what's the difference. The minimum size should be 50, right? 50 GB we need to provision. And for Linux instance, there is like some rebate or discount, like we can straight away start from 10 GB, so it will save much cost there. Then there are like different disk type. We can click on click here, compare disk type. So there are like standard and extreme, but depending upon the read and write throughput per instance. There's a comparison of his SSD and what is the standard. So if you want high performance, we can go to like these things. SSD, if you look, read IOPS per instance, it's 15,000, and extreme up to 15,000. It's also suggested what kind of workload it's suggested. So we can configure this type of thing as well. For now, let's select standard persistent for us. The size looks good. We can also use custom images if we have. We can select it. Snapshots also we can use it. So there are tons of basically variants are there. We can use the marketplace as well. Hundreds of VM solutions, inbuilt solution. There are options to purchase, and there might be something free as well. We got to look at, but marketplace is again upon our risk. So public images looks good for us. Let's spin up one Ubuntu instance. Let's click on select here. So this looks good. We have I've already explained you all the parameters. I think now it should be good. Let's click on create now. All right, our VM is spinning, so let's check. We are done with the number 2, that is creating VM. So next task will be SSH. Since we have spin up an Ubuntu instance, so SSH we can easily do it. Let's get down here. All right, our VM is up and running. How do we know it's up and running? By seeing this green tick mark. Status is tick mark. It shows this instance is running. So if we scroll here, that is SSH, one button is there. Let's click it. So one screen will pop up for SSHing. Let's show some basic commands that it's a Linux, and we can SSH directly. We can also use like external tools like command prompts and putty and all. But yep, for this let's do sudo will become the root. Let's check who am I. I'm finding some basic Linux command to check via the root. Let's check the size. Currently the size is this one, used is this one, available is this one. We can also since we have switched to root, we can also change the password as well. So these kind of things we can do, like update the password. So that's for the basics of SSH. I'm not going much into it. There are tons of things we can install as well, I know, but since it's a basic tutorial, we are done with SSH. And for RDP, let me explain you the 4th point. What is RDP? So it's like for RDP we will be needing the external IP. So let me explain you basics of external and internal IP. I know it will be quite a lot in this tutorial, but just remember, internal IP means it's internal to Google Cloud, right? External IP, it like if you want to access outside from Google Cloud, then we need to use this thing, external IP. So if you want to RDP, since I've not installed RDP on the Linux, or I've not spent Windows Server, it would have been easy. But the for if we for instance, let's say I've spin up one Windows Server, I'll type this one computer, then click on connect and enter the password which we have just configured. So that's how we connect for RDP. And I hope this one like you got it. Also we can monitor VM. All right, if we look here, we can select the matrix as well, CPU. Since we haven't used much, so that's why these graphs are just on the bottom line, not much of usually. There are many things like memories and all. Since we haven't done any kind of thing, so these are like for now it's not showing much data. If you look here, like these things, firewall packets and all. So yeah, that's all. Yeah, so that's all pretty much for this tutorial. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please hit a thumbs up button if you found this tutorial helpful.